In the heart of Lagos, where chaos never sleeps, one woman dared to build peace from the ashes of betrayal. Her name was Tosin, and this is the untold story of Peace Mansion. Before we dive in, pause for a moment and tell me something. Where in the world are you watching from, and what time is it right now? Remember to subscribe, like and comment in the comment section below. Now, lean in, and let's begin. Many years ago, there lived a quiet and easygoing woman named Tosin, who wanted peace like other people wanted designer shoes and a visa. She worked as a quality control supervisor in a big textile factory in Lagos, where her main job was to smile politely at demanding clients, count inventory, and beg supervisors not to lay off staff during the slow seasons because the economy was not smiling. She was a diligent worker who would iron her clothes 2 days before, pack her lunch of beans and dodo carefully, and greet everybody along the street because her mother raised her to respect all elders, including the ones that didn't deserve respect. Tosin was 35 years old, slim, with bright eyes and a soft voice. People always said, Tosin is too gentle for this world, and she always smiled because she liked peace and order. She liked knowing where her life was going, and since her life was going straight without bending, she was content. Until her auntie died. Her auntie Mame was her father's older sister who never married, never had children, and never listened to anybody. She was the type of woman who could shout at a tout and the tout would apologize to her. She lived in Abuja for many years before moving back to Ibadan to manage her late father's old compound called Peace Mansion. Even though there was nothing peaceful about the place, in fact, the tenants there sometimes fought as if they were rehearsing for a wrestling match. When Mame passed away, the whole family cried, but in the middle of the crying, people were also gossiping about who she might leave her property for. Because Tosin was her favorite niece, she became the topic inside every family WhatsApp group. But Tosin didn't think too much about it, she just wanted her auntie to rest. Weeks later, a letter arrived, a letter that changed Tosin's destiny faster than NEPA could take the light. She was named the new owner of Peace Mansion. Tosin stared at the letter for almost 10 minutes because she wasn't sure if the lawyer meant peace as in PAC or PIC as in a piece of stress. She didn't understand why her auntie skipped all the older cousins, why she didn't leave the property to someone who was ready for the kind of wahala that came with tenants who believed that rent was charity and that their landlord was a government worker. Unfortunately for her, the lawyer said the way was clear, and her auntie wanted Tosin to have the compound because she was the only responsible one. So, one Saturday morning, Tosin packed small jollof rice and chicken inside a cooler, tied her headscarf, and went to see her inheritance. From the gate, she already knew something was wrong. The name Peace Mansion was written on the wall in faded blue paint, but the P had peeled off, so it now read East Mansion, which already sounded like stress. The gate was bent as if someone used it to practice kung fu. The compound had 12 rooms, and each one carried its own smell, history, and amount of unpaid rent. The moment Tosin entered, Mama Favor, the self-appointed gossip general of the mansion, rushed out like someone hearing a siren. Oh. New landlady. Small madam. Our angel. She hugged Tosin with all her chest and stomach, squeezing her like akra inside a bread. Before Tosin could breathe, Mama Favor started talking fast because her mouth did not have a break. We thank God, your auntie was a good woman. God will bless you. You see this our compound, don't worry, we cooperate. We are peaceful people. No problem at all. Ironically, as she was saying, peaceful people, one man inside the compound shouted, Samson, if you touch that wire again, I go show you pepper today. Another voice followed, come and carry your empty gurry bag before I use it to sweep the compound. 2 children ran past Tosin holding slippers that did not belong to them. A woman came outside dragging a big basin of water and shouting, who wasted my water? Who opened my drum? The water pump was coughing like an old man with a cough and catarrh. The walls were cracked like biscuits, and the floors were uneven as if someone used a ruler to measure it with their eyes closed. Tosin blinked. This cannot be Peace Mansion now, she thought. This is war headquarters. However, she tried to smile, but then she met Mr. Bode. He appeared from his room wearing a singlet and wrapper like somebody who owed the whole world a reasonable explanation. He looked at Tosin and said, "You are the new landlady. Welcome. About the rent, don't worry, we'll talk later." I have been expecting a lot since 2019. Tosin swallowed hard. Next came Papa Success and his 23 chickens, which he named Prosperity and Testimony. They walked confidently as if they were also tenants paying rent in the compound. Papa Success waved happily and said, "Auntie, don't worry, oh. My chickens know they disturb anybody. They are well behaved." While he was talking, Testimony started pecking aggressively at the eviction notice pasted on the wall. Tosin took a deep breath as she refused to faint on her first day. As she moved around, she noticed small suspicious holes at the back of the compound that looked like someone had been digging at night. She asked Samson the barber, but he scratched his head like someone searching for a light to use. That hole. It has been there since the time of Moses. So. Immediately, Tosin knew something was not right. Still, she stayed calm, smiled, and introduced herself gently because her auntie raised her to greet before shouting, and she believed people behave better when you give them respect. However, as she was leaving the compound, she heard two tenants gossiping. "One small madam like this cannot control us now. She too gentle. We are going to match her. Don't worry, now she will soon learn." Tosin entered her car slowly, closed the door, and put her forehead on the steering wheel. Her peace had just been kidnapped, and Peace Mansion was holding it hostage. Still, she kept telling herself that she would bring peace to Peace Mansion, even if the tenants were allergic to peace. She went home, boiled rice, prayed a small prayer, and told God, "Please, give me courage and patience. And if patience wants to finish, give me extra barrel." Well, God heard her prayer and gave her an extra barrel of patience. The following week, she carried her small handbag, wore a calm smile, and returned to the compound with a notebook and pen because she wanted to start with renovation, improvement, and general environmental sanitation. She believed that if the place looked better, the tenants would behave better because sometimes when people see fresh paint, their behavior also becomes fresh. That was her innocent thinking. She called a small meeting, and because Nigerian tenants don't like landlord meetings, only 6 people came at first. Then Mama Favor went around shouting, "Everybody come out now before I mention your name loudly and disgrace your generation." Slowly, the remaining tenants rushed out, grumbling and dragging their slippers like people being forced to go for morning devotion. Tosin cleared her throat and smiled politely as she explained her plan. "Good afternoon, everyone. Please, I came to tell you that we'll be renovating the compound. We'll fix the pump, repaint the walls, change the wiring, repair the drainage and the broken soakaway, and also upgrade the whole place. It will be better for everyone." Before she even finished the sentence, a big pot of water used for cooking a communal meal for the meeting spilled over, extinguishing a small fire and sending smoke everywhere. One man shouted, "Huh! Why now? The fire is dead." Another woman exclaimed, "Renovation in this economy. We are not ready." Papa Success raised his hand like a pupil answering a question. "Madam, I hope the paint will not affect my chickens." Sister Judith the prayer warrior closed her eyes dramatically and said, "Holy Spirit, take control." Tosin smiled again because she believed if you smile at fire long enough, maybe the fire will come down. But Peace Mansion fire did not come down. Mama Favor placed her hands on her waist like someone ready to start an election debate. "Madam Tosin, let me ask you, renovation for what? This place is fine like this now. We have been living here for years, no wahala. Why now? Why are you rushing?" Before Tosin could even reply, 2 tenants began arguing about who used the last oil in the tank. Another one started shouting that the water pump was making noise like a generator. Someone else shouted that the soakaway was smelling like sin. Just like that, chaos broke out like children fighting over biscuits. Tosin raised her hand gently. "Please, calm down. The renovation is for everyone's good." "Good kill you, dear," one old woman muttered from the back. "Every landlord that says good for you ends up increasing rents." The moment that woman said rent, the whole compound changed like a transformer shock. Oh. She wants to increase rent. She wants to chase us away. Oh. I said it. She looks too gentle. It is always the gentle ones that have wicked plan. So she's rushing to paint because she wants new tenants, ABI. Tosin felt her head spinning, but she stood straight because her mother told her that if you bend in front of people, they will sit on your head. She assured them again, please, no rent increase. I just want to fix things. Well, the tenants did not believe her, not even a little. 3 days later, the renovation team arrived. The painter came with a long ladder, the plumber came with a big spanner, the electrician arrived with his toolbox, and 2 casual workers carrying bags of cement. That was when the real drama started. As they scraped the walls, the painter shouted as if he saw a snake. Something heavy fell from inside the wall, a small metal plate, smeared with green ink, that looked like an engraving block for currency. The whole compound became silent like a burial ground. Who owns this? The plumber asked. Nobody answered. You people don't know? Tosin asked calmly. Everyone suddenly became blind. Even the chickens pretended not to see anything. Then Samson the barber coughed loudly. It's not mine. No, my own ink is not inside. Tosin's heart began to beat like small drums because she finally understood her auntie's headache. As they continued inspecting the walls, they found an illegal electricity bypass connecting the barber shop to free power, an underground pipe channeling free water outside the compound, a small hole at the backyard filled with shredded paper and special printing inks, and a freshly dug pit that looked like where someone was hiding evidence at night. The workers looked at Tosin as if she was the new commander of crime investigation. Mama Favor started panicking and shouting at the renovation workers. Stop breaking things. You people like to scatter people's life. Leave the wall. Leave the pipe. What are you looking for? But her voice carried fear, real fear. That evening, as Tosin stepped out of the gate, she noticed a man standing outside wearing a black hoodie and a mask. His eyes were sharp and cold like someone who came to collect trouble. He whispered, "Tell your workers to stop, or you won't like what will happen." Tosin froze, but before she could say anything, the man walked away quickly like smoke disappearing into the air. She wanted to shout and run, of course, but she kept her calm face because she knew the tenants were watching her from their windows like CCTV cameras. Later that night, the tenants held a secret meeting under their favorite mango tree. They concluded that Tosin's renovation was disturbing forces, and they must frustrate her. So they agreed to delay rent, refuse cooperation, spread lies, create confusion, and call the police if necessary, and then pretend to be victims. The next morning, Tosin arrived to meet fresh trouble. She was given a long petition written by Mama Favor, claiming that Tosin was harassing tenants with unnecessary renovation. Tosin inhaled deeply and looked around Peace Mansion, that was suddenly looking like a crime scene from African magic. That evening, Tosin decided it was time to carry her courage like a handbag and go deeper into the house's hidden problems. She came with an experienced electrician she hired privately, a man called Bob Technician, who was tall, thin, and always frowning like a NEPA bill. He shook his head and turned to her. "Madam, the wiring in this house is not ordinary. Somebody has done an underground connection that even NEPA cannot understand." He started tracing the lines, climbing, bending, and following cables as if he was chasing a snake. Tosin followed behind him because she didn't trust anybody in that compound enough to leave him alone without supervision. Tenants were peeping from their windows like detectives without a salary. As they reached the end corridor near the old store, Bob Technician touched a part of the wall and frowned deeper. "Madam, something is behind this wall." Tosin's heart jumped up. Behind the wall? What is there? He knocked on it, the sound was hollow like a talking drum. He shifted one loose block, and just like that, dust flew into the air like an angry mosquito. Behind it was a thick wooden door, painted black and nailed shut. Tosin was shocked because her auntie never told her that the house had a secret door. She felt her stomach turn slowly. "Madam, this place must be open today," Bob Technician whispered. He removed the nails with his tools and opened the door gently. Inside was a small room nobody had entered for many years, a room so dark that it looked like night lived inside it permanently. Tosin used her phone flashlight and slowly stepped inside. Her heart was beating like somebody knocking a table repeatedly. Inside there, they found an old and flat mattress on the floor that looked like expired bread, used water bottles, torn clothes, a small generator, a half-broken chair, bags filled with reams of low-quality paper, several printing inks, a bucket containing old wrappers, a small pot with ashes, a hidden corner with a small stove, and a tiny window covered with black clothes. Tosin covered her mouth in shock. Somebody had been living inside her auntie's compound secretly. Wait, not just living, this person was hiding, and this type of hiding smells like crime. Bobber technician scratched his head. Madam, this is not ordinary. This is a hideout. Tosin felt like leaving the compound and never coming back, but the memory of her aunt was calling her back to reality. She forced courage into her voice. But who was living here? For how long? Why didn't people know? Madam, the electrician whispered, people know. Maybe they are just pretending. That night, when Tosin returned to check the room again, she didn't know someone was watching her from the darkness behind the mango tree. She entered the room and started writing down everything she saw, when suddenly, she heard a slow voice, you shouldn't have opened this place. Her heart ran like a trailer with a bad brake. She spun around, but nobody was inside. She then stepped outside and froze. A man stood at the backyard in a black mask, black hoodie, and dark trousers. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He just breathed heavily like someone warming up for wickedness. Tosin wanted to shout, but her voice refused to wake up. He walked towards her slowly and calmly as if he had no fear in this world. You are disturbing things you don't understand. Tell your workers to stop. Stop digging. Stop searching. Stop opening what should remain closed. Tosin stepped back until her back touched the wall. She grabbed her handbag as if it was a Bible. The man leaned in closer. Your auntie didn't mind her business. See what happened to her. Tosin's blood froze. The masked man, Beo the muscle, gave a wicked smile under his mask, then walked away fast, vanishing through the back gate as if he melted into the night. Tosin shakingly picked up her phone with trembling fingers and called her cousin Fizeo. Fizeo, I think somebody is using this compound for something bad. Fizeo didn't even help matters. She just said, oh. I told you not to collect that house. Sell it. Sell it now. Sell it before you enter trouble that your small salary cannot solve. Tosin ended the call because her blood pressure was already rising like dodo in hot oil. She went back inside the storeroom and while looking around again, her eyes caught a small wooden box hidden beneath the broken chair. She picked it and opened it. Inside the box was her auntie's old diary. She sat on the dusty floor, opened it page by page, and began to read. At first, it felt like normal gist. I don't know why these tenants behave like children. Papa Success has refused to sell those chickens of his. Mama Favor is spreading lies again. But then the writing changed sharply. I caught him today. I saw him sneaking to the backyard with a bag. I know what he's doing. He thinks I don't know, but I know. I know everything. On the next page, she read, he came into my room at midnight. He warned me. He said I should mind my business, but I cannot keep quiet. I will not allow evil inside my father's house. The next page read, if anything happens to me, let Tosin take the house. She will know what to do. She's the only one who sees clearly. The last page on the diary read, one day J-Boy will return, and when he returns, somebody must be brave enough to face him. The diary ended there. No explanation. No clue. Just fear trapped in handwriting. Tosin hugged the diary to her chest because her auntie had been crying for help in silence. She felt angry, scared, sad, confused, and determined all at once. She stood up from the dusty floor and whispered to herself, I will not run. Whatever killed my auntie will not chase me away. By the next morning, Peace Mansion was vibrating with tension because people had begun talking. Tenants gathered in small circles, pretending to discuss the weather, but every 2 minutes, someone would say, have you seen the way Landlady is moving, or something is happening in this compound. And Mama Favor, the gossip ambassador of the street, kept walking up and down as if she was campaigning for councillor. Tosin, on the other hand, moved like a soldier who didn't want people to know she was afraid. She held her auntie's diary close to her chest like a protective charm, and she refused to be intimidated, even though the masked man's threat had entered her body like pepper soup. She was scared, yes, but every time she remembered how her auntie wrote, Tosin would know what to do, something strong inside her refused to bend. Barber technician returned that afternoon to continue inspecting the wiring. That man was not only an electrician, he was also a part-time prophet. He could smell trouble from afar like jollof. He followed one cable across the backyard and discovered a freshly nailed wooden plank covering a hole on the ground, like someone had been hiding something inside. He frowned at her. "Madam, this hole is recent. It looks like somebody used this last night." Tosin sighed because she was tired of discovering new problems like a phone with software issues. While they were still checking the area, Papa Success suddenly appeared holding one of his chickens like a shield. "Madam Landlady, why are you always searching everywhere? Don't you trust us?" Tosin smiled politely, but her eyes saw everything. "Papa Success, I am only renovating the compound." He gave a dry smile. "Don't renovate too much, oh. Some things are better left the way they are." His chicken cackled as if it was sending a warning message to Tosin. That night, Tosin couldn't sleep. Every sound from the compound sounded like footsteps. Around 11 p.m., she heard noise near the backyard, a quick shuffle and a door creaking. She grabbed her small torchlight and tiptoed outside like someone who didn't want fear to disgrace her. She stood behind the clothesline, listening, and that was when she heard two voices. One was the masked man's voice, Bill the Muscle, and the other belonged to a woman. She slowly leaned forward, and before she could even blink properly, she recognized the woman's voice. It was Mama Favor. She nearly shouted out of shock but used her hand to block her mouth. Mama Favor was talking fast as if she was panicking. "You didn't tell me you broke into the store. Now the girl has found the room. All our plans will spoil." The masked man hissed. "You talk too much. She's stubborn. We must scare her and stop her workers. This house is perfect for business, but she wants to renovate it. If they pull down the wall, they will find the rest of the plates." Tosin's stomach knotted. "Plates? Plates of what?" The man growled, "I will handle her, but you keep the tenant on your side. Make her look like the problem." Mama Favor quickly nodded like a lizard. "I will. I already told them she wants to increase rent and chase everyone away." Tosin nearly fainted. Wait, so all the confusion, all the shouting, all the protest and loud lies, it was Mama Favor all along. The masked man walked away into darkness, and Mama Favor slipped into her room. Tosin crawled back like someone trying not to wake danger. Her hands shook, her legs felt weak. She sat on her bed and breathed in and out slowly until her heartbeats calmed down. The next day, Peace Mansion transformed into a marketplace of noise. Mama Favor marched out with her frying pan voice, shouting, "This landlady wants to kill us with stress. She's wicked. She wants to seize the property and sell it to big men. I had a dream, a very evil dream." Tenants gathered, confused. Tosin stood calmly in the center of the compound, holding her auntie's diary and holding her patience so she doesn't misbehave. She said gently, "Let us talk, everyone." But Mama Favor shouted louder, "No one is talking. This girl is too young to control us. She's hiding something. She wants us out of this compound." The tenants murmured like confused bees. Papa Success nodded slowly like a wise elder, even though he was the one using free water and free electricity. At that moment, the electrician stepped forward and cleared his throat. "Excuse me, everybody, please hear something. I saw Mama Favor enter a secret room last night. She knows who is living there. She knows what is inside the wall." The entire compound went silent. Mama Favor's eyes widened like a rat caught eating yam. Me enter which room? God forbid. Technician, you are lying. Thunder fire. Enough. Tosin shouted. Your lies are finished. Mama Favor started sweating, even though the weather was not hot. Somebody from the crowd shouted, "Oh, she better confess. So you've been shouting too much in this compound." Another one added, "Since she came, you've been the one starting trouble for her." Mama Favor panicked. "Oh, that's that man. That man, it is not what you think." Before she could finish, the backyard suddenly erupted into chaos. There was a loud crash and a spark of fire, followed by a scream. Papa Success was running like someone whose secrets caught fire. His illegally bred chickens had knocked over a heating lamp near his room, which made contact with the illegal connection he was using for his coop. An illegal connection had exploded while he was trying to move bags of paper rolls hidden inside the pits. Flames jumped out like angry ancestors. Neighbors shouted and the children screamed. Fire service was called immediately. The tenants were shouting, "Water! Water!" even though the pump was broken. When the fire calmed down, the police arrived. They opened the pits, and inside were printing plates, stacks of low-denomination fake notes, printing inks, and special paper. The police arrested Papa Success on the spot, and when they asked who else was involved, he pointed at Mama Favor. The entire compound gasped. Mama Favor collapsed like wet bread and screamed, "Please, I am innocent. Beo the muscle forced me. He said his rich nephew, J-Boy, will marry my daughter. He begged me to help him hide things. I didn't know it was this serious." Tosin folded her arms and watched quietly, because sometimes the best revenge is just allowing people to expose themselves. The tenants realized the truth at that moment. They had been fighting the wrong person, they had been defending criminals, and they had been attacking the only innocent person, their landlady. As the police carried the two suspects away, Tosin stood in the middle of the compound, breathing deeply and knowing that her aunt's death was now beginning to make sense. After the fire drama, the shouting, the chicken stampede, the police sirens, and Mama Favor's dramatic fainting that looked like she rehearsed it during choir practice, Peace Mansion finally went quiet as if the truth had finished disgracing people. The tenants stood outside in small, confused groups, whispering as if they were afraid that their own secrets might accidentally jump out soon. Tosin, who was still holding her aunt's diary like a badge of honor, stood in the middle of the compound, and for the first time, nobody looked at her differently. They didn't see her as small Madam Landlady or the gentle girl we can cheat, but they saw her as someone who had survived a crime syndicate, unmasked criminals, fought danger, faced threats, and still carried herself with dignity. They all looked around awkwardly, shifting their slippers, adjusting their shirts, coughing fake coughs, and pretending they never joined the foolish protest against Tosin. Mr. Bode, who had been owing rent since Buhari was president, suddenly removed his cap and cleared his throat. "Auntie, landlady, we are sorry. We didn't know things were like this." Queen, the slay queen who used the most water without ever contributing for the bills, touched her wig. "Madam Tosin, I didn't support them. It was only small gossip I joined in." Sister Judith, who had been praying loudly at night and quarreling loudly in the morning, stepped forward with a holy face. "Forgive them, Lord. And please, landlady, forgive me too if I offended you by mistake." One by one, they apologized. Even the chickens cackled as if they were saying sorry for pecking the landlord's notice. But Tosin didn't say anything yet because she wanted to think properly and get to the root of the matter. Peace Mansion had been through danger, lies, theft, and betrayal, and she needed to decide how to clean the mess, not only physically but spiritually and mentally. Later in the evening, she called a full compound meeting. This time, nobody argued. Nobody formed senior tenants. Everyone just sat like obedient school children waiting for punishment. Tosin addressed them without shouting, "This compound will not remain like this. From now on, we will do things properly." They all nodded like an Ogama lizard facing the sun. She continued, "I have the right to evict any tenants involved in crime or disrespect, and I will use that right today." The tenants froze. Her decision came like a clean sweep. "Mr. Bode, you will be given a 3-month notice for unpaid rent and illegal water pipe." He shouted and tried to beg, but Tosin ignored him. "Queen, you'll be given a 6-month quit notice for lying, bullying other tenants, and connecting your bathroom to the neighbor's water without permission. Samson the barber, you'll be fined heavily for illegal electricity bypass. He almost cried when he saw the bill. Sister Judith was warned strictly because her midnight prayers had been disturbing the peace of the entire compound. She promised to pray silently from now on. The two mischievous young boys in the compound were banned from climbing the water tank and using it as a football post. Their mothers apologized on their behalf. The remaining tenants nodded in agreement because they were secretly happy that the troublesome ones were finally leaving. Meanwhile, at the police station, the heat of interrogation entered Popper's successor's body like fresh pepper soup. Because immediately the officers asked, "Who is behind all this?" His mouth opened on its own like a bad door. He didn't even wait for the second question. "It's J-Boy. He's the head. He's the one. I am just a small assistant." Mama Favor, who had been shouting earlier about fainting and "I don't know," suddenly remembered everything with perfect clarity as soon as she heard Popper's success call J-Boy's name. She sat up straight, removed her scarf dramatically, and started talking like someone that swallowed a microphone. "Officer, please let me explain." "No. It is J-Boy. He came to me first. He said he was running a small printing business. He promised he would settle me. He even said his rich nephew will marry my daughter. I didn't know he was a thief. He used to bring bags at night and tell us to hide them for him. Please, officer, I didn't know it is this serious business." The officer stared at her with a face that said, This one thinks we are fools." "Madam, so you mean you never suspected anything was wrong?" Mama Favor began to wipe imaginary tears. "Officer, he told me the plates were for a new textbook." The officer almost laughed. Popper's success continued spilling like a broken tap. "J-Boy used to live in the compound before, since the time we used to play football in this compound. He knows all the hiding places. He's the one that dug the pit. He used the small storeroom for years. He brings the materials from Dubai, from Ogbomoso, from everywhere. I only help him hide and sell small. I didn't print anything myself. I only cooperated." Another officer hissed. "Oh, so you are proud to say you cooperated in crime?" Popper's successor's mouth closed like a zip. However, the more they confessed, the angrier the officers became because this was not just ordinary compound waller, it was a quiet crime ring hiding in a residential area. J-Boy had been using the compound as his hideout, and he even threatened Mamie when she found out about him. He never expected Tosin to start any renovation that would expose his hiding place, and that was why he began to intimidate her. The police took their statements, cross-checked them, and immediately sent officers to J-Boy's neighborhood. J-Boy, who thought he was still invisible, was caught while trying to escape on an Okada with a backpack full of counterfeit money and 3 SIM cards in his mouth like chewing gum. When the officers grabbed him, he shouted, "Is it because I am a small boy? There are bigger thieves in this Nigeria." The officer didn't even answer him. They handcuffed him as if they were packaging bread and brought him to the station, where Popper's success and Mama Favor suddenly lost their voice when they saw him. J-Boy looked at Tosin and gave her one wicked smile, but the smile disappeared when the officer showed him all the evidence, the pit, pictures, the items, the diary notes, and Popper's success and Mama Favor's confession. J-Boy dropped like wet clothes. He knew everything was over. His hideout, his business, and his power in Peace Mansion was gone like light during a rainstorm. He was charged on the spot with counterfeiting, receiving criminal items, threats and intimidation, destruction of property, illegal occupation, and involvement in a long-running criminal operation. Popper's success and Mama Favor were also convicted with him. The news spread fast, and the tenants cried, "Yo! So we have been sharing the same compound with deadly criminals." When Tosin returned to the compound that evening, the tenants ran out to greet her. Sister Judith embraced her and said, "Madam Landlady, the God that fights for the innocent has fought for you." Queen added, "I swear, if I had known, I would have followed you from the very beginning. I was only joining gossip for fun." Other tenants offered to do free services for her. Even the 2 troublesome boys drew a picture of Tosin and wrote, "Thank you, Landlady," with crayons. Tosin stood in the middle of Peace Mansion with her aunt's diary still in her hand and cried tears of relief. At last, the danger was gone, the lies were gone, the criminals were gone. Everything now made sense. And Peace Mansion, for the first time in many, many years, was finally what its name claimed to be, a place of peace.